Hello, welcome. Finally, we will have an unofficial port of Sonic Unleashed for PC. No more emulators, no more slowdowns, random crashes, or other limitations. With this version, you'll be able to enjoy the game with more stability, better performance, and exclusive features that only a native port can offer. If you want to buy original games while saving a lot, check out Instant Gaming, the digital store that sells games for various platforms, such as PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. Get games of all genres with discounts of up to 95%. You'll also find a variety of gift cards and credits for other services. You can pay for your order through your credit card on a website with a 4.7 rating on Trustpilot. You're buying games directly from Instant Gaming, not from other retailers. If you encounter any issues, Instant Gaming offers 24/7 support. After several recompilations from Nintendo 64 games last year, it seems that this method has now reached the Xbox 360. The first game to be brought to PC unofficially is Sonic Unleashed, a title that fans have long requested to be officially ported but were never heard. Now, we can finally play it without relying on emulation. This decompilation method could eventually be applied to other Xbox 360 games, but it still needs adjustments. Therefore, we cannot consider it a universal method that can decompile any game using only this project. However, this approach opens doors for many other titles, as well as allowing this and other games to be made available on different platforms, including Android, since Sonic Unleashed is not a very demanding game and could run smoothly on mobile devices. Let's take a look at the additional options this project offers. But before we go, make sure to leave a like to support this channel and help me keep producing this kind of content. And if this is your first time here, consider subscribing to stay updated on all the latest news. The minimum requirements to run the game are quite modest. It requires at least a second-generation Intel processor or an AMD FX series. However, when it comes to the GPU, since the Xbox 360 uses DirectX 12, very old graphics cards cannot be used. Still, the requirements are accessible, just a GeForce GT 630, which is a basic GPU, typically used in offices rather than for gaming. For AMD, the minimum required is a Radeon HD 7750. The game can be run on Windows 10, version 1909 or higher, or Ubuntu 22.04. In terms of storage, 10 GB is required for the full game with all DLCs or 6 GB for the version without DLCs. The mod is compatible with both the American and European ISOs, but it doesn't yet support the Japanese version. Additionally, it's necessary to dump the latest game update for the decompilation to run correctly. I'll leave a link to our Patreon, where you can find all of the necessary files for free, no subscription required. Now, let's talk about the new graphical options and improvements. The game offers several visual enhancement options. However, if you prefer to maintain the original Xbox 360 experience, there's a setting to preserve the classic filters and visual effects. You can also choose between Xbox or PlayStation-style button layouts, and modify the language of the interface and audio. Among the graphical options, you can adjust the resolution, select a customizable FPS, and even unlock the frame rate limit. There is also support for anti-aliasing and custom shadows, with up to 8x anti-aliasing and 8K shadows. Additionally, the project includes texture filters, motion blur settings, with the option to disable it if you prefer, modification of cutscene formats, and adjustment of the user interface alignment. A new custom menu has been created, including all achievements from the original console version. The project also implemented improvements for higher resolutions, such as support for MSA, improved depth of field, a feature that often causes issues in emulation, and enhancements to motion blur. Furthermore, anti-aliasing on transparent textures, something the original consoles couldn't handle, was improved, and superior texture filtering was applied. A technique called Reverse Z was implemented, eliminating most Z fighting issues, which fixes graphical glitches and effects like motion blur in certain stages, such as Jungle Joyride. A new high-performance renderer was developed from scratch to translate the game's drawing calls into modern APIs efficiently and take better advantage of multi-threading. The entire Xbox 360 rendering pipeline was discarded, removing several console limitations and bringing significant performance gains. Additionally, shader rendering techniques were optimized, and parallel transfer queues were created, improving PCI Express bandwidth efficiency. Another major improvement was the removal of the original 30 FPS limit. The game now runs at 60 FPS by default, but there's also an option to fully unlock the frame rate. However, using FPS higher than 60 may cause graphical glitches, something that should be fixed in future updates. Support for ultra-wide resolutions has also been implemented without the need for external cheats. By default, cutscenes are rendered in their original aspect ratio, but this can be adjusted in the menu. As for controller support, D-pad support was implemented, allowing you to play certain parts of the game using the directional pad instead of the analog stick if you prefer. If you're using a DualShock 4 or DualSense, the controller's LED can change color automatically depending on the context of the game. Additionally, the touchpad is now compatible with the world map, allowing you to spin the planet freely. Note, the LED color change support is still a limited feature and requires extra translation layers like Steam Input or DS4 Windows to work properly. Additionally, low input latency has been implemented using modern APIs to minimize input lag during gameplay. Another major highlight is the asynchronous shader compilation. For those who have been following the channel for a while, you know that this feature compiles shaders at the exact moment the game needs them, avoiding stuttering when new objects or effects are loaded for the first time. According to the developers, this is something impossible to do in Xenia, as it requires direct modifications to the game's code. However, some 2D effects do not benefit from this technology, so there is a predefined list of pipelines compiled during game initialization. Fortunately, this amount is minimal, and the process happens entirely in the background, eliminating the need for a shader compilation screen in most tested systems. Still, some situations may cause microstutters not related to shaders. The development team is aware of this and plans to fix it in future updates. As mentioned earlier, the game allows you to choose between Xbox and PlayStation controller layouts. In theory, this setting should be automatic, but I noticed that when I connected my DualShock 4 via Bluetooth, it wasn't detected automatically, and I had to manually configure it through the options menu. Various quality of life improvements have also been implemented, such as option to disable the hint rings, ability to turn off the control tutorials, option to disable the Warhog battle music, which was considered annoying in the original game for interrupting the stage soundtrack. Choice between the day and night transformation cutscene of the cities from the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3. The Xbox 360 version retains the original loading time to display the full video, while the PlayStation 3 version cuts the animation as soon as the loading finishes. Music attenuation, this feature, originally present on the Xbox 360, would automatically mute the game's soundtrack if the console's media player was active. Currently, this function is not available on Linux. Steam Deck support has been ensured. Native Linux builds are available, and the game works directly on the Steam Deck. The Flatpak version can be easily installed and added as a non-Steam game via desktop mode. However, it's worth noting that installation on the Steam Deck can be slow and take up a lot of storage space, especially on the 64GB model. To avoid problems, it's recommended to store the game files on a microSD card or network share. Overall, performance limitations may occur due to the Steam Deck's hardware. The game also supports mods, including a loader compatible with Hedge Mod Manager. For more details, you can visit the official project page, and the link will be available on Patreon. Finally, let's do a comparison between this version of the game and the version running on Xenia, using the native console resolution, 720p, and unlocked FPS in both cases. A quick analysis comparing both versions of the game shows that the native PC version delivers almost triple the performance of the emulated version. This directly reflects in the average FPS and hardware utilization. The native PC version not only delivers much higher FPS but also uses hardware resources far more efficiently. Even running at 1080p, the stutters are significantly lower. We can clearly see this by comparing the 1% low values, which are 57 FPS on Xenia versus over 140 FPS on the native PC version. GPU usage in the native PC version is slightly lower, about 10 to 15% less compared to Xenia. However, when we look at CPU usage, the difference is even more impressive. The PC version uses almost half the processing compared to the emulated version. If you still have doubts, it's unquestionable. The native PC version delivers much superior results, undoubtedly making it the definitive version to play Sonic Unleashed on PC. Finally, I'll quickly show you how to install the project. Just download and extract the project to a folder of your choice. Once you run it, all the options are super intuitive, and you shouldn't encounter any issues since the installation is very straightforward and simplified. When you start, the first thing you should do is choose the language and then select the ISO of your game, which should be the American or European version, along with the update. Once you do this correctly, the next option will be available. In the next window, you'll need to choose your DLCs if you want to install them. If the DLCs are in separate folders, you'll need to select them one by one, or you can choose the folder where all of them are located. In the following window, the project will inform you how much disk space is required, and then you can proceed. After completing the process, the game will launch automatically. If you want to run the game again, just run the project's executable, and it will take you directly to the game. And that's the video, folks. Thank you for your audience, and see you in the next video.